Truth is not the absence of falsehood, but the ability to uphold a fact or belief that is accepted as true, irrespective of whose source is good. And until truth stands tall in our country, justice and a sane society will continually elude us. Nigeria and the value of truth. What is our truth? I ask these simple questions because with the COVID-19 pandemic, the past few weeks have been further exposed our deceit, lies, propaganda, and barefaced falsehood as a government and people in Nigeria. Is it with the death of the chief of staff to the president, or the lies and uncertainty about the death in Kano, to the crowd at most of the burials? But why people in Lagos were complaining about the crowd at the burial of Sheikh Gomi Modugoni, a reverend cleric in Maiduguri last week, we kept silent in the face of the mammoth crowd and traffic in Lagos on the 4th of May, despite the state directives to the contrary. We refused to discuss refederating the country, but our state governors who had hitherto criticized previous government for deporting citizens from their state now deport Almajiris with ease. Kano State Governor chooses to relax lockdown in the midst of increasing numbers of coronavirus patients, death and chaos. Yet, he's neither corrected by his advisors nor criticized by northern leaders because he's from the same place with them. An Attorney General charges Funke Akindele for violating social distance regulations, but gather a crowd of journalists, much more than that of the accused, to explain his legal triumph. We are told to look the other way because as ministers in the temple of justice, we should only see evil, hear evil, but must not speak evil. What is our truth? A National Assembly is confronted with a pandemic and lack of adequate legislation to deal with the situation. And rather than confront the executive to find a homegrown approach and methodology to combating same, they must copy and paste in 1977 Singaporean law to compulsory vaccinate the people and compel them to comply, failure which they can be punished. Yet the same assembly is not channeling the same energy to create legislation that would compel actions towards finding a local vaccine stroke treatment despite the abundance of natural resources in Nigeria. A private institution spends time and money to research and create a cure for a pandemic, yet our government looked the other way because it didn't come from a foreign country. Maybe it's because of the donations coming in. An opposition party, once out of government, begins to criticize everything they once held tenaciously to as truth, while the ruling party begins to do exactly what they once condemned and criticized. Yet the wheelers and hailers in us will queue behind them, and we want truth. EFCC recovers and confiscates assets of so many former government officials, yet government claims to be looking for private properties to convert to isolation centers. I laugh. A president is unavailable to answer burning questions, provide leadership and give answers to concise questions and a clear-cut direction in a pandemic situation apart from a pre-recorded broadcast, and we refuse to inform him that is a recipe for failure and disaster because we want to be politically correct. We divert money and palliative meant for the poor in a war situation into private use, forgetting that we might not live to spend such money, and the government is too calm to investigate same. Government issues directives and instructions on managing the crisis, while those in government flout same sanctions. The rest of us bluntly refuse to comply, yet we want the abatement of the pandemic. You claim to be a member of civil society organization, but displaying civility in the larger society whilst bashing government for simply following your step. I ask you, what's your truth? And I'm sure when all of this is over, our pastors and imams will tell their faithful to come for Thanksgiving with nairas, pounds, dollars, and euro to celebrate the defeat of the virus, despite not doing anything to contribute to the cure. Foolishly, we must all go, as they say, touch not my anointed and do my prophet no harm. We all must find our truth someday. We close our borders to become self-sufficient in food production. But in the face of a pandemic, we don't even have enough food to give to the poor. Yet we all maintain a conspiracy of silence. We copy democracy and refuse to either practice it or modify it to suit our peculiarities, yet expect to excel in it. My advocacy today would be, until we find our truth as a country and stand with it, irrespective of our tribe, position, religion, or political affiliation, be it in government or out of government, because our leaders are drawn from among us, we will keep dancing in circles and pointing accusing fingers at one another, but ourselves, until we disintegrate as a country, which if care is not taken, might be sooner than expected. This is my truth. When you find yours, add it here, say it loud, stand for it and defend it, even if you stand alone.